check, 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 check. Check, check. Check, check, check. Check. Check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check. Mä en katso itse itselleen ja mä en kannaissa silloin tasoitettu tämän työllä. Joo. 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 Joo, just näin. Tämä on nollatestyttely, ääni nollatestyttely ja aina vähän tällainen highline tästä, miten paljon uskaltaa ruuvata sitä. Mikseristä kuunnellut, niin siinä on se, joo. Ei, se tulee koko ajan. Tai oota. Okei, se on toinen näissä.
Entente. Joo, nyt kuuluu.
Okei. Saitko mikin jo? Näetkö sä Rasmus ton mahtavan yleisön tuolla?
Mitä?
Näetkö yleisön tuolla kaukana?
Joo, kyllä mä näen siellä.
Tälleen. Joo. Ollaanko me ready auttaa?
Mä oon ihan täysin valmis.
Okei.
Tää on ihan mun mielestä selvää.
Jep. Onks se
Näkyykö sieltä
live ready? Okei. Haloo. Kuuluu? Okay. So hello everybody. My name is Maria Aalto and I'm here representing Board Nomination Committee today. And today we will have a panel discussion for the KY board member applicants, and we have 13 of them here tonight. But I'm not here alone. With me, here is the man who has been in KY board 2015 when I actually started my studies. And after that, he has been really active in representative councils in KY, but also in AYY. So let me introduce Teemu Kukkola.
Hello, and nice to be here. Nice to be here tonight. So as we have a lot of candidates today, we have one candidate who is at the moment abroad. So we were planning on having a board abroad member Rasmus Ylinen first. So can you see me?
Yeah.
So let's do this way, that you have now 1 minute to introduce yourself, and after that I'm gonna give you a couple of really tough questions, and then we will move on, because it's gonna be a bit different and difficult to keep you on the lines during the panel.
I understand that.
Okay, so your time starts about now.
Okay, so hi everybody, my name is Rasmus, and greetings from Hong Kong, and don't mind the police sirens in the background. I'm a third-year economics student, and before applying, I've been part of Kyssy, so one of our great clubs, and most importantly, maybe I've been a part of our academic affairs committee this spring before I left for my exchange, and a part of that, I've also done a lot of other stuff at KY. For example, I was a part of organizing the Dammarit, which was a great blast, and all in all, I've had a huge amount of fun working with KY and being a part of this community.
Okay, thank you. So now I'm going to give you first couple of easy questions regarding in general. So now when you have introduced yourself, so could you tell me and the rest of the huge audience here that where should KY focus on next year?
Okay, so I think KY's main focus next year should be our new premises and getting that done with, because I think that has long-lasting impact for our future generation of students, and that needs to be done right. So I think we should be focusing on that.
Okay, that was excellent question. Answer. Sorry. So now, when you've told us what KY should be focusing on next year, what would you like to learn as a member of the board, and why during next year?
Well, basically, I'd like to know more about what is going to happen to our premises. I'm not saying that communication about it hasn't been good enough, but obviously it's a big challenge that's facing our community. But in another sense, I also would like to learn just basically like how the whole community works as a whole, and basically what I would have to offer to our community if I was part of the board.
Okay. So last kind of a personal question before going to the sector questions. We here at business school often talk about our like success stories and stuff like that. So what is your biggest disappointment until this point of your life? Tell me about it. What have you learned about it?
Okay, so my biggest disappointment before, that's a good question. I would say maybe, okay, I think one of my biggest disappointments might be that in the army I didn't make it to like the Alki. So that was actually one of those things I really wanted to do, and I thought I would be capable, but what I learned from it is no matter what you do, you might not always succeed in life, but if you do your job well and do what you're what you're given with, you do your best with that, then you know, in the end everything turns out good.
Okay, thanks. So now I'm going to ask you a couple of these sector questions, and I see that you've told that you're interested in academics and educational affairs. Is that right?
Yeah.
So the first question is, what are the ways that you would like to develop teaching in the school?
Yeah, so I think we should have larger digitalization of our teaching methods. I feel that there would be like a huge improvement and potential in, for example, having video lectures so students can go back to lectures, and basically getting away from like these huge courses where there's like 300 people and the lecture just drones on. So I think more interactive lectures, interactive studying, group work is something that I think we should be also like doing more in our courses. Yeah.
That was a good answer. And another one still, why KY is doing advocacy work?
Yeah, so basically we need to voice we need to voice the opinions and like what the students want, and I think it's important that we do work with the School of Business and with Aalto to ensure that our degree stays basically top quality, because that's what we want for our members. We want the best quality. We should be the ones sparring our school. So basically, it's our duty almost to sort of, you know, spar the school on our education.
Okay. Thank you, Rasmus. I think here this was the part for Rasmus. Does
Do I need the mic?
yeah, I think I'm gonna give a mic and you're gonna get a question.
Okay.
Rasmus, how are you doing? Oh yeah. All right. I'll just ask the question. Rasmus, are you, or if you become the academic affairs responsible in the KY board, you also have to lead KOVA. Do you have any leadership experience in your past, and what type of leadership experience, if you do so?
Well, that's a good question, and actually, to be honest, leadership is something that I'm keen to work on. Like in the past, basically, well, for example, in Danmarit, I was responsible for the catering, and that's basically, well, that's leadership experience I've had there. In work life, last summer I was arranging a party for our colleagues at IF, where I was working, and I got some leadership experience there. But that's something I'm keen on working on as a personal skill as well.
Was the answer enough? Yeah. Okay. So, thank you, Rasmus. I think we're going to continue from here. Hope everything is well in Hong Kong.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
So the next one here is Aino. So Aino, you have approximately 1 minute to introduce yourself, and after that I'm gonna give you a couple of really hard questions. So when you're talking, you can talk to the camera as well.
Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Aino Bergius. I'm 20 years old, second/third year student in Aalto University School of Business. First year I have been chair of the NEFSU KY. In my previous life I have been volunteering a lot. I have been 4 years in Slush, so volunteer work at the Aalto community is well known for me. Also, I see myself as a positive vibe and team spirit builder as a human, and I am applying to be responsible of cultural affairs as well as new student and well-being. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have now a couple of really hard questions for you. You don't.
Yeah.
You can just relax.
Okay.
It's not that. It's not that difficult.
Okay.
I know this. I know the feeling. I've been there.
Yeah.
So, where should KY focus on next year?
Next year, I think the main focus should be on volunteers and the KY office's well-being, because the burnout rate has been increasing in a couple of years a lot.
Question regarding the well-being. How much KY should be doing regarding that issue, and how much should the university have responsibility about it?
I see that it's responsible both for KY and university. I think that never is the law. I'm sorry.
You get say it in Finnish.
No, it's not never enough to do that, and it's a really important because our community could not work if people are not feeling great in here, and well-being should be a really big part of next year to be focused on.
Okay. So, in School of Business, we talk often about our success stories.
Yeah.
What is your biggest failure or biggest disappointment at this point of your life? What has struck you the most?
Okay, that's a tough one. I have always wanted to be accepted to the Aalto University School of Business, and that's always been like a big goal, big dream for me. Maybe the first time when I applied to the Aalto, it was really tough case when I didn't get accepted in, but the välivuosi, like the skip year, couldn't have been better for me to grow up as a person. So, but at the tough time, it felt real bad for me.
What have you learned about it?
I learned about a lot. After I didn't get accepted in the Aalto the first time, I was volunteer at Slush at that autumn as a team leader, and then I went to work at the presidential campaign where I was building up one of the biggest volunteer organization where there was like over 15,000 people or something. And that was a really the year where I learned the most about myself. And that year I was studying at Open University, and I got through to that. So that was maybe the best year for me, like ever.
Okay, thank you. So we're gonna continue. I think at this point we don't have any more questions, so
Okay.
you can go and relax for a bit, and we're gonna have the next one.
Yes. Oh, really? Oh, great. Thank you. Ooh.
You did good.
Thanks.
Lappu itselläs vielä sinne nenän eteen. So, Akseli,
Hello.
are you nervous?
A little bit, yes.
You shouldn't be. It's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
So you have approximately 1 minute to introduce yourself, and then I'm gonna ask a couple of really tight questions. So your minute starts now.
Thanks. Okay, so my name is Akseli Manninen. I'm 21 years old, second year student, studying or majoring in information and service management, and I've been living in Helsinki my whole life, but this year I moved here in Otaniemi with my girlfriend, and it's been little shock not to be living in Helsinki anymore. But as a person, I think I'm open and open-minded. I get along with new people really well, and trying to get along with people around me. And this year I've been putting my whole time basically to two things. First being school, getting all the courses done, and second being Nesu KY, where I volunteered as the head of corporate relations. And other than that, seeing friends and family and sports.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm gonna give you a couple of really tight questions. Let's start with a question that why are you here?
Okay. It was a really long thought process for me. I considered applying for KY board from last spring, and I talked with many people and wanted to hear their views, all the members of the board and family and girlfriend, and I thought that I could bring some value to the KY board, as I have been in Nesu KY, and I think I really want to do this. I'm willing to put my year only to this project, and I think I could be good at it. So that's why.
Okay, that's the important stuff. You're gonna be good at it, because we KY don't take bad people to the
Yes.
board.
Yes.
No, just kidding. So where should KY focus on next year?
Okay, so I think the main topic should be well-being. That's one really important thing, because people suffer mentally and physically, or not all, but many students, and That I think should be the main thing. Also, the new premises is a big thing. There's been some problems with that, and as the Repco voted, we should continue with AYY, and that should be another thing. And also, sustainability should be one thing for me.
Should KY leave the student center project or stay?
Okay, so that's a difficult question, but I think because Repco voted that we should continue as they are the voice of the students, and I think it helps that we got many seats in AYY Repco, so I think we should continue.
Okay. Last but not least, what is the biggest disappointment moment in your life until this moment?
I don't think I have had any great disappointments during my life. Maybe my disappointments have been the things I regret, maybe not joining everything I could have joined if I had the courage, maybe during the secondary school, for example.
Okay, thank you. So you can go and relax a bit, and
Yes.
the next patient is gonna come in. You can leave the mic on the table. So, Isabella, it's your turn. You have 1 minute to introduce yourself, and then I'm going to ask you a couple of really tight questions. So your 1 minute starts now.
Hi, I'm Isabella Kärkkäinen, a second-year information and service management student, and I'm applying to be a member of the board of KY for 2020, and my areas of interest are sports and well-being, culture, new students, and volunteers.
That was really compact answer. Tell me, why are you there?
KY has given me so much. I've only been here for 1.5 years, but it's already been the most memorable time of my life, and I want to be a part of making it possible for other students to have such a great time that I've had.
Nice. So, where should KY focus on next year?
I think KY should focus more on especially the mental well-being of our students. We have quite a high burnout risk, and I feel like it's vital to try and make a bigger difference on how students feel mentally, also physically, but mentally especially.
What could you bring to the topic mental well-being if you would be chosen as a member of KY board?
I feel like I would especially focus on our new students and the fact that not only mentioning in the beginning where it would be possible to get help, but arranging events throughout the year that would focus on improving the mental well-being and helping our students manage their time better and their studies, and just to have a balanced lifestyle in general.
Okay. At the School of Business, and especially at KY, we talk a lot about our success stories, that what we've done, what we've achieved. Could you give me an example of a moment that has been like a true disappointment in your life until this day, and what you've learned about it?
It might sound silly to some people, but I think one of my biggest disappointments in life this far has been when I took my final tests in high school and I didn't achieve all the grades that I worked really hard for. But I feel like it's taught me to work even harder towards my goals in the future, and that even if you don't always succeed, it's okay, or succeed but do perfectly. It's okay to be human, it's okay to make mistakes.
That's good. That's good. Uh, you've been so fast that I really need to keep on getting these questions. But tell me, who is your role model and why?
My role model is my grandfather. He's lived quite a spectacular life, working all around the world, and he's also an alumni from a business school, so I feel like his career and life path is something that I strive towards as well.
Okay. So Isabella, thank you. You had your moment to shine, so you can go and relax, and we'll
Thank
take the
you.
next patient in.
Do I leave this paper?
You can leave it there. Yeah. So yes, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself, and then I'm going to give you a couple of really tough questions. So your time starts now.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Jesse. I'm 22 years old, second-year student majoring in economics. Last year, I was vice chairman of Nesu KY, and that I fell in love in KY in that perspective. The reason why I'm applying to KY Sport 2020 is that I think I have a lot to give for this society, and there's a lot of things that we can improve. That's the main reason. I want to truly make this community better for each and every one of us. Second reason is that I'm always looking opportunities to make myself a better person and challenge myself. I think this kind of position gives me an opportunity to do that.
Okay. How would this place, if you would be chosen as a member of KY board, how would it challenge you during next year?
For example, of course, I have done some kind of I have been like in these positions, but not like in the same volume at this. So I think the board 2020 from KY Association will be like new challenge for me. It will be in a leadership perspective. I have to like carry myself, taking care of like people around me. That will be a great opportunity for me. But also when you think about the things that I have to done, there is a lot of like substance knowledge that I didn't know yet. So those things will be like challenge myself a lot.
Okay. Where should KY focus on next year?
I think, like I mentioned on my application, the most important thing for me is the well-being of our students. That is critical to see the numbers of all well research, and I think that is the one thing that I have seen in my own eyes, and that's really, really close to my heart, that we have to take care of our, first of all, our workers and our students. And the second thing is that I want to focus on our academic things. I think right now when we are moved to the Otaniemi, we have to take care that our and engineer students' studies are unified, that we can study in both sectors and make ourselves a better students and better workers in the future.
What could you bring to the topic that also business students could be studying more on the engineering side?
Yes. The first thing is, I think most of the times business students get 6 grades from the one course, and engineers get 5. I think that's the one thing. Of course, it's not only our decision, but that's one thing that we can make better. That it's unfortunate that many students don't take like courses from engineering side because it doesn't fit their curriculum. I think that's unfortunately, but I think we have to like build up the curriculum and the scheme that it's possible to take those courses and make it count.
Okay. What is your biggest disappointment in your life until this day?
I think so. I used to play basketball 60 years, and it was like most important thing in my life. And I get injured at the very critical time. I injured my knee, and it was pretty like brutal. I had to sit out like 4 months, and because of that, I missed some summer camps at national team level, and I was really disappointed. I was always wondering, would I ever bounce back from this? But right, so far so good. I'm still alive, and I managed to do that. But that was a really tough time for me.
Okay, thank you. That was your time to shine. Now you can go and relax, and we'll take the next patient in. But yes, Tommi, it's your time to shine. You have 1 minute to introduce yourself, and then I'm gonna give you a couple of really hard questions. So your 1 minute starts now.
Okay, my name is, as you heard, Tommi Koivisto, and I'm a 5th-year economics student. I'm 24 years old, and over the years I've been in many volunteer positions, but this year I've been in Masters Committee, KY Spexi, and also at AYY in Community Section AVA. And first and foremost, I applied for the board, but I have several preferences. I think I would be the best in those, like new premises, vice chair, master students, and academic affairs and culture.
Okay. You mentioned new premises. What would you bring to the to discussion about, for example, student center, if you would be chosen as a member of board next year?
I think I would bring AYY better or more closely to the discussion what we really want to do with the student center project.
How would you do it?
I feel like this year, as I've been in AVA, I feel like they really don't know what they want with the student project. So I really need to push them to decide, do they really want to be involved and what they want to do with the project.
Okay. Where should KY focus on next year?
Of course, we have these huge investments, KY building and new student center project. But I think aside from those, well-being is one of those we need to focus on, and maybe the overall alt community to bring KY closer to the AYY.
Okay. Tough question. What would be? Okay. What has been the most or the biggest disappointment in your life before this moment? Like, what has struck you the most, and what you've learned from it?
Well, I applied for KY board last year, so I wasn't chosen, as you can see, but maybe it was the biggest disappointment so far, at least in the student life.
What did you learn about it?
I did receive great experience applying for different positions, and I really need to push harder and so on.
Okay. Who is your role model and why?
Basically, I don't know. I really don't have a role model. If I want to say someone, it's gonna be my grandfather, who really worked hard and cared about us, the grandchildren.
Okay, that was a good answer. But yes, that was your moment to shine. Now you can go and relax for a minute, and we'll get the next patient in. Thank you. So Sanni, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself and tell us why you're there, and then after that I'm gonna give you a couple of really tough questions. So your 1 minute starts now.
So hi everyone, I'm Sanni Lappalainen. I'm a second year student here in Aalto-BIS, and I'm majoring in marketing. In the past year, I've been a board member in the cultural subcommittee of KY, and then also an interdisciplinary committee, which is Isännistä ja Enemistä. And from there, I've got some great experience on the subject that I'm actually interested in the board, which is corporate relations and work and career. I've been actually connecting with some firms and with some companies due to different projects and different tapahtumat. Sorry, events. Thank you. I'm a bit nervous. And why I'm here is because I think I would be a great member in the board. I think I would be a great team player, and I would make an exceptional job there.
That's good. You can relax.
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous. Yeah.
And I know the feeling.
Yeah.
You said in your application that you are excellent in working with like-minded people who do. How do you handle situations where you end up working with people that have very different viewpoints than you do?
I also said in my application that I'm very good at compromising. I'm very good at dealing with different kind of people as well. It's just the way that if people are like-minded, I think we have the same kind of goals and same kind of ways of working, which makes it a lot easier. Of course, in my past job groups or teams, there have been a lot of different people and everything has gone so well. So I think I'm really great, as I said in my application, I'm a really great team player, and I think I would do a great job with everyone.
That's good. That's really good. Where should KY focus on next year?
Next year, well, of course the KY building is a bit of a big project there. Also, I would say transparency in the decision making and as well as in board, because I've been pretty active in KY. Sometimes I don't even know the things that are happening in the representative council or here in the board. So those are the things that I think are the biggest issues at the moment.
How would you improve the transparency at KY?
Transparency, that's I think a never-ending project, but where I would start is maybe just more information. Of course, then there's the problem that there's too much information and everything is kind of mixed and in all together, but I would say just highlighting the important changes and important decisions a little bit better in social media, for instance, and in Monday Mail or something.
Do you think that digital communication is the best way to give the message for the members of KY about what's happening here?
I think, yeah, of course, KY Guide is a brilliant magazine, or it was very helpful for me when I started studies. But like at the moment, all the information that I get are from online and social media primarily.
What is your biggest disappointment in your life?
In my life?
Until this day?
My biggest disappointment? Well, actually, I first applied to law school. This is my kind of second choice, and when I got the information that I didn't get in, that was kind of disappointing. But when I came here and been studying for a year, this has been the most amazing thing. I wouldn't change it for the world, and I've met so many incredible people, so many incredible opportunities. So it was a disappointment, but now it's just, I'm so grateful for it.
Good call to come to business school.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
you
can go and relax now.
Oh, perfect.
So Mia, yes. Are you nervous?
Yeah, I am actually.
Yeah, I know. I know, I've been there. I just wanted to ask that. You have 1 minute to introduce yourself, and then I'm going to give you a couple of really tight questions.
Yeah.
So your minute starts now.
Okay. So hello everyone. My name is Mia Lundström. I am a 24-year-old fourth-year student here at Aalto BIS, majoring in economics. During my time at KY, I have done quite many things which have really made me grow as a person and made me believe in myself more, gain more confidence, and that is also the reason why I now think that I'm ready to apply for the KY boards 2020. I am applying for the positions in culture, new students, as well as volunteers, especially subcommittees, but I'm also interested in other areas of responsibility, as I think that I am applying to the board in general and not culture. Yeah, I think I'm done.
That was good. What do you think is KY's culture's role in the Aalto community?
I think that KY Culture's role is to provide possibilities and events for all members at KY, something that everyone can enjoy, and basically a vibrant experience for all KY members.
Okay. Where should KY focus on next year?
I think that next year KY should focus on bringing KY closer to all its members, because I feel like many volunteers probably feel the KY community quite strongly, but I feel like there are many people at KY who maybe don't feel as close to KY, so bringing all members closer to KY, I think, is something that should be focused on, as well as well-being of volunteers and all members in general.
What concrete actions would you make so that the members of KY would feel themselves that they are closer to the kind of KY office?
Yeah, I think the KY board members have to be approachable and people that you can always go and talk with if you have any issues, and just basically like regular people among others, and not only this kind of group somewhere kind of like distant from everyone else. And also basically just communication using all KY social media channels, for example.
Okay. Are you easy to be approached to?
Yes, I have actually very recently heard so from other people as well, so I would say that I am.
Okay. Thank you. It was your moment to shine, and you can go now and relax a bit,
Yeah.
and we'll get the next patient in. Thank you. So hello, Paula.
Hello.
Are you nervous?
A bit, yes.
You have 1 minute to introduce yourself and tell us why you're here, and then I'm going to ask you a couple of really tight questions. So your 1 minute starts now.
Hi all, my name is Paula Malka. I'm a first year master's student majoring in marketing. I think I've wanted to apply for the KY board ever since I was a murso. So ever since I first got in touch with KY, I've actually wanted to do this. I've done quite a lot during my years at KY. I've been in quiz board. I've been also in Kuva, in KY Spexi. I've also been a tutor, and now I'm in the annual ball committee. I think I've gained quite a lot of experience regarding KY during my years, and I think I've also developed myself quite a lot. So I think this is the perfect time for me to apply for the board. I also think that this is, regarding KY, this is a really interesting time to apply for the board, as there are a lot of big decisions that need to be made and actions that need to be taken as well. So, yes.
What is the biggest decision for next year at KY?
I think the biggest decision is to decide what we're going to do with the student center.
What would you do?
Well, I'm not necessarily applying for the role, but what I would do is I would go on with the project that has been designed now for a couple of years, because we just decided to stay in the project. So I would actually try to implement the project into actions and actually do something about it. So we will have the student center one day, because KY House is going into renovation, so we actually need new spaces as soon as possible.
Okay. How do you see that the cooperation with the school in well-being project could be done?
I think that the school is very interested when it comes to well-being. I think they have a lot of resources as well. So first of all, when it comes to studies, the studies should be designed in a way that supports the well-being of the students. But also I think that the school could affect kind of the individual level well-being. So they could be interested in taking part in projects that will develop the individual well-being side.
Okay. What is your biggest disappointment in your life before this? I'm not saying that this is going to be a disappointment, but like...
What's my biggest disappointment?
And what you learned from it?
That's a really tough question, but I think, well, one of the biggest disappointments have been, for example, when I've been applying for jobs. I kind of believe in myself quite a lot and in my talents. So whenever, like, for example, a couple of years ago, I applied for like 30 different jobs. I didn't get any of them. So finally, like after applying for all the 30 different jobs, I finally got a really good job. So kind of basically what I learned from it was that never give up, trust your dreams, trust yourself.
Okay, thank you. You can go now and relax a bit, and we'll take the next patient in.
Thanks.
So, Laura, are you nervous?
A little bit, but in an appropriate manner.
Nice. You have 1 minute to introduce yourself and tell us why you are here, and then I'm going to ask you a couple of tight questions, so your minute starts now.
All right. So hello, everyone. My name is Laura Nikola. I'm a 24 years old master student in information and service management, and I have started my 5 year with studies. I started here in a school of business in 2015, and ever since I've been actively involved in different kind of student activities, including, for example, Nesu KY, Cultural Committee, KU-Speksi tutoring, academic committee, student representative position, and campus section from all the community perspective. And due to this, I feel I have quite a broad experience base, and I feel also very privileged to like the possibilities to being involved in these different kind of activities. And I feel like I would like to give at least a part of it back, what KY has given to me. So, in addition to that, I have a high motivation and lots of love towards KY to develop operations and bring this motivation to the work of board. And I think that's the most important reason why I'm standing here today. Thank you for your consideration and listening.
Laura, in what way could well-being issues be taken into account in the educational reform project?
That is a very good question. I think the even stronger cooperation with the School of Business is one of the key issues in this one, and it has also been outlined in the action plan for the next year, like to develop. That is absolutely one thing. And in addition to that, I think we should actively try to understand what kind of needs our students have and kind of like involve students and their opinions to this process. I think this has been done during this year, but could be also like broadened to next year as well.
Okay. Where should KY focus on next year?
Okay, so I think there are like 4 important themes to focus on. There's of course the student center project and the move from KY building, as well as other new premises, which is one of the key strategic initiatives, and the focus will be strongly on this as well. Then there are like the well-being and internationalization related matters, and of course this advocacy side I mentioned before, and I think one like the visible part of it is this degree renewal project that was discussed in the previous question.
Okay. If you would be chosen as a member of the board, what would be the most important project for you during next year? And I'm interested in hearing your personal view.
All right. Yes, that is a very good question and simultaneously quite a tricky one, because of course it depends partially on the responsibilities, as I'm applying primarily for the KY board and willing to accept all the responsibilities the former of the board sees as the best for me. But I think like as I've been actively involved in this degree renewal project this year through this student representative position or Halloped position in KOK and Education 3.0 steering group, for example, I think that is something which is like personally very close to heart, and I think I have a lot of to contribute to that project, even if I wasn't selected to this educational policy responsibilities of the board.
Okay, thank you, Laura. You can go now and relax a bit, and we'll take the next patient in.
Yes, thank you.
So, hi Pauli. You nervous?
Excited.
Excited. Nice. You have 1 minute to introduce yourself, and then I'm gonna give you a couple of tricky questions. So your minute starts now.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Pauli Pihlajamäki, a fourth year ISM master student. I'm originally, my journey starts from Mikkeli campus, where I did my international business bachelor's. I immediately knew I wanted to do something more than just study. I fell in love with the culture and the community, whether it's in Proppa, in KY, or in Aalto. And I ended up being a class representative, continued from there, ended up in the Proppa board, where I was the academic affairs coordinator and secretary. Then from there, after a successful year, one of my best years in my life, I wanted to do something still and continued to go to representative council, been doing that for 2 years. Finally landed here after a good exchange in Japan, and now I want to take the next logical step, and that's why I'm here now. I'm in your care, and ask away.
Okay, thanks. What skills did you learn as an exchange student that you could utilize as a member of KY board?
During exchange, I was in a different environment, new environment where I haven't been before, and with different people, completely different people than I've met before. And I think what I learned is about being open, being ready to figure out things that I hadn't thought about before. And I think that's something I could definitely use in the board by being open-minded and ready to see new things.
Where should KY focus on next year?
I think KY should focus on things that it always focuses on, and that's its students, whether it's it comes from the new premises or whether it comes from just overall improving well-being. I think it's the most important thing is to just keep your mind in what's best for the students.
What is the biggest disappointment that you've faced in your life, and what you've learned from it?
That's a tough one.
I know. That's why I asked it. If you don't have anything, we can pass it.
My
Okay.
mind went blank.
Let's go to the next question. Well, let's continue a bit from this topic. How do you work under the pressure?
Under pressure, I usually, when I realize that there is more than when it feels that there's more than I can handle, I usually want to maybe step away for it and just do something different, or just take a hike or something, and just try to think about something else and then come back and solve it again. I think there's always time to reflect on things before you make decisions.
Okay, thank you. This was your time to shine. Now you can go and relax a bit, and we'll take the next patient in. Thank you.
Thank you.
You nervous?
A little bit, but in a good way, I would say.
Okay, good. You have 1 minute to introduce yourself and tell us why you're here, and then I'm going to ask you some couple of tricky questions. So your minute starts now.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Sara Ritala. I'm 4th-year student here in KY. First of all, I'm very action-oriented person. I have been responsible of running rather big projects. For example, in Schloss 2017, I run 3 different stores. Second of all, I'm very ambitious about marketing, and that's exactly one reason why I'm here. I'm very interested of developing KY's brand and communications. Thirdly, and most importantly, I have been the active member of KY family from the beginning. I have been part of Sales Academy, Cultural Subcommittee, and I can never thank enough KY from all the support, friends, experiences I have gotten here. I want to be part of developing the best student experience here. So that's why I have been applying for the board 2020.
Okay, that was good answer. What are the opportunities that the digital Mursu passport brings into digital KY?
I think there is a lot of good potential in the digital Mursu pass. First of all, the opening rate has been amazing. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was almost 2/3 of the new students open it. So I think that's a very good channel to actually reach our students in a new way, in a totally new channel. Second of all, I see a lot of stuff that can be implemented there that it's not there yet. For example, if you're a community member, you're part of a committee or something, for example, maybe renting a van, the space schedule, everything. I see great potential in there, just to mention a few things.
Okay. Where should KY focus on next year?
I think the new premises is one urgent thing, and second thing is students' well-being.
What kind of point of view do you have for KY's new premises?
I think it's maybe even the most important factor next year. I think what we have to take in consideration is all the parties' needs, since only one participating, building the new premises. And I think we should go volunteers and the active members first. We should really think how to make the spaces that they are practical for everyone, that you can organize the events and parties that you want, but also that there is room for hanging out, and that the place would actually be not just for the active volunteers or board members, but also everybody, that everybody would felt welcoming there.
Okay. Who is your role model and why?
Okay, that's a tough one, I would have to say. There's so many great people here at KY. But
it doesn't need to be from KY.
Well, I can still name maybe one person in KY. While I was in Sales Academy, my chairman was Iiro Halinen. He has also been many years my good friend. I really look up to him. I think he was a good leader with a vision, and I think that's something to really appreciate. But also, he has been a very supportive friend throughout the years.
That was a really, really, really good question. Now we know which is the best sector in the whole KY. How do you work under pressure?
I think I work pretty well under pressure. I think, of course, it makes me nervous and maybe a little bit stumble in my words, but I think that's maybe when my creativity actually lights on fire, if you could say that. And I think you can really actually make very good, you can get very good ideas under pressure, I would say.
Okay, thanks. That was also, you did a lot of good answers. Now you can go and relax for a bit before the panel section. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Siinä on vaikka muut välillä katsoa kameraa myös. Mut ehkä tänne myös. So Topi, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself and why you're here, and then I'm going to ask you some tricky questions, so your 1 minute starts now.
Thank you. Dear audience, dear KY, my name is Topi Ronkainen, also known as the announcer. And the reason why I'm here, the reason why I'm applying for the KY board is actually, well, I don't have that much time, but it's a story. KY has given me a lot of things. He has given me the closest friends I have at the moment. He has given me a lot of relevant experience getting to work on concepts, new ideas, and form new clubs and all. And why I'm applying is because I fear that most people would have the chance but don't find it at the moment in KY. It's not due to that KY is doing too little, but it's just maybe KY hasn't found the right ways to do that everyone from KY can find the one niche for them. Thank you.
That was a good answer. You can hold it as you want.
Okay.
Where should KY focus on next year?
Well, of course, the biggest problem will be the new premises problem. When the KY building goes under renovation to become student housing, all the clubs and committees will have to find new ideas and new substitutes for their already ongoing projects and events concepts. So what that means is that a lot of clubs would have to rethink how they are going to do their events, how they're going to plan for their events, and to see how these new spaces will work for them. And especially will be kind of tricky for the more traditional events. And of course, this also comes to that, how can we help volunteers, clubs, and such with this process?
Okay. If you could change one thing at KY, what would it be? Why is it important for you?
The first thing that comes to mind is I would try to tackle the initial stress a lot of students that come to KY face, that once you come to the best school of business in Finland, that you have to also perform academically and you make possibly too big expectations for yourself, and that increases the stress levels of students. And as it's been heard that there is, I wouldn't say drastic, but still high numbers of stress and well-being issues for students in KY. So I'd like to help to create methods that people could release that stress and then maybe find these own niches that they could actually pursue.
How would you, what would be your answer for bringing these stress levels down and making people cope better in that really competitive environment?
Well, this is kind of like also because I also felt that way during my first year, so I maybe have a little bit like a personal answer for it. But then it comes with the whole process of like initial contact with KY. So it starts with orientation week. Of course, it's no use to tell students that first year is going to be easy and all, because of course you do have to study. But then to, for example, maybe the active members who are on campus will have this like share their stories on like how did they get involved first year and how did they manage their time, and for example stories, because let's face it, in School of Business the finance is the biggest field, so volunteers could like, yeah, I did so much and still managed to apply for finance, for example. These relevant stories for new students, and then with the help of our KY office and everything, to show that what kind of services KY has to relieve the stress from like a more professional side.
What is your biggest disappointment in your life before this day? Brief answer.
Well, actually it's kind of recent that I didn't apply as a former of the board sooner. I applied pretty late. As many might know, I applied around 30 minutes before the vote. So that's now like big, not disappointment that I didn't actually get the time to share my application with the KY members and then actually get the time to prepare myself. I think I did quite well though, but still I would have been better if I would have given myself time.
Okay, thank you. Was that all? No, one. Okay. Then you can go and relax for a bit.
Thank you,
before we
KY.
Last one. So next we're gonna head to the sector-specific questions, and you don't have to battle about who gets to talk because we have like pre-selected questions for everyone, and everybody is are gonna get as many answers as others. But let's try to keep the answers brief. We're gonna aim at answers which are like 1.5 minutes approx. So no long stories. Get it compact and snappy. So first question goes to the persons who have been who have said that they would like to be the vice chairpersons. Laura, what is the role of the vice chairperson in the board?
I think the role of the vice chairperson in the board is to, well, first of all, support, well, not only the chairperson, but the entire board, and to like be actively like acknowledging what is going on in different sectors so that he or she can manage the same tasks as the chairperson if necessary.
Okay, thank you. Tommi, you need to pass the mic. Tommi, which way you could support chairperson in the daily work? How could you support him? How could you support Heikki?
I think I should ask Heikki what he needs to be done, so then I can do it and also be proactive and guess what he wants to be done.
But out of your head, give one thing. How would you support him? You don't have to worry about that, what he wants, but give something.
Be acquainted with the things that are happening in KY.
Thank you. The next question goes to Jesse about academic and educational affairs. What are the biggest issues in the field of academic affairs next year?
I think the most important thing, it's also related to well-being. Those are the main reasons why I'm applying to the board. I think we have like too much expectations for our students. What I mean with that, there are a lot of people, and we have tough atmosphere that we are feeling that this school is easy. That's totally different. It's not. We are the best business school in Finland. Studying here is really tough. So I would like to change the whole atmosphere what we got towards our education. So we have to respect what we are doing because we are doing actually great. We don't have to like lower the like how we are like created our students, but we have to create the atmosphere where it's fine to feel tired or where it's fine to have a lower grade if it's the case.
Yes, you can. Just
if you have comments on a question,
yeah.
Laura had, for example, raised her hand for the previous question.
I didn't
How does that work then?
From now on, everybody can wave their hands, and
Okay.
we can go back on that way. But does anyone else have any comments regarding the academic or educational affairs regarding this specific question? So what are the biggest issues in the field of academic affairs next year?
Yep. Okay, first of all, I try not to say the same things, but starting from the big picture, I think this degree renewal project or study program project I mentioned before, and the strong cooperation with the school on that one. And also, I think it's important to maintain good benchmarking with the Nordic Forum, for example, because it's one of our most important stakeholders in the field of academic and educational affairs. And in addition to that, on a more grassroots level, I think the work of KOVA should be, the responsibilities should be maybe discussed of more next year, and the course messengers and support and education for them could be one thing that could possibly be improved as well.
I agree with the well-being aspect a lot, and I think one way to do it would be to add transparency. I think that could be one theme, for example, as well. So I think all the students at Aldabis should know that they are being represented in different kind of occasions, in different kind of meetings, because I feel like they actually don't know. So they should know that the feedback, for example, what they give in the lectures, that it actually matters. And in these matters, I think communication is key. So we should maybe even more improve the communications when it comes to transparency and the academic affairs.
Okay.
Yeah, something that I would like to add, I agree with all the statements said before, but I think that also something that should be taken into consideration is to think about how to actually figure out what the students are thinking about certain things and how to collect the data concerning that, because what KY board members responsible for academic and educational affairs do is basically discuss with those things with the school, and if they don't know what the students actually think, what most students think, they then it's of course very biased what probably is being discussed.
Okay. Moving forward, regarding culture, Topi, how strongly KY should be involved in AYY 10-year celebrations?
I think this is actually a great opportunity to actually bring KY more into the Aalto community with the AYY 10 annual celebrations, and I think KY should take a big part, of course, in retrospect, but yeah, should be a very active participant in creating the AYY 10-year extravaganza, let's say.
Should KY provide funding for these parties?
I think KY could participate in what they actually bring own to the table. If they make KY specific events, then of course.
Okay. Aino. How a renovation of KY building is or is not challenging according to culture section in KY?
I think that will change a lot in KY and in KY's culture. That will be a big change in next year, but I see it can also be a big opportunity to KY associations. Since we don't have a KY building, we need to find new spaces to arrange different kind of events in Otaniemi. And now we are using mainly Saha, but that is not a good place for every association. Some can use it pretty well, but we need to find a different kind of events places and need to be like close contact with Aalto especially, but also because there is going to be some association who needs a like party place in Helsinki city center. So that's why it's really important maybe to contact Hanken, who has a big party place called Kasa, and that will be useful for many KY association.
Okay. Yes.
Actually, Aina said pretty much also very good thoughts, and also I scratched it at the beginning, and also this, it's kind of like a double-sided coin. So it will bring opportunities such that KY will become more part of the Otaniemi community, because they will have to actually host events more in Otaniemi. But then the problem with that is because KY has always structured very well concerning with Yläkertsi and Alakertsi for eliminating different events. So now those events will have to be probably discussed how they are actually do them nowadays. So the big problem with that is, does it get too stressful for the subcommittees or clubs to start figuring out the wheel again? So in that case, it will also bring a lot of pressure on the KY side to actually help them with that, because then they cannot just read from the testamenti from previous years. But of course, like I said, there's also positive sides to it.
Okay, thanks. Isabella, how would you ensure that subcommittee members have better well-being than they currently do as a member of KY board?
I feel like communication is key, and at the current state, I feel like the office might feel distant to a lot of subcommittee members, and I just feel like it would be super important to visit meetings, but also just send like WhatsApp messages or emails asking, hi, how is everything, and trying to make yourself relatable to them so that it wouldn't seem so difficult to contact the office, even if it was just a minor problem, but just letting them know that you're there so that they feel supported even if they didn't need it. They might need it, they might not need it, but.
Sanni.
I want to say is that the current board has done quite a well job at thanking the volunteers, which has been good for the well-being, that you know that your job is being appreciated as well.
Mia.
Well, something that I also wanted to say is that I think that maybe the board often might be a bit closer to the chairpersons of the different subcommittees. So I think that it's important to try to get to know to as many people in the subcommittees as possible, and not only the people most in charge of different events or aspects.
And there was at least Paula.
Well, one idea that I had, I heard that the current board has had kind of like a survey every week where different kind of well-being related questions are being asked. So maybe like similar to also involve the subcommittees and the committees, maybe in terms of maybe choosing like a person who would be responsible of like the internal well-being of the committee or subcommittee would be a good idea.
Aina.
I feel like when I was this I have been chair of the UNESCO KY. I feel that it would be awesome to get some tips from the board or something like how you could like develop your well-being and take better care of it, like how to, if you need help from some professional, if you have like mental health issues that is like really popular, you cannot say that, but you know the meaning, how you should and could get help, and I have some other points also, but now I forget. So, Topi, if you have something to add, please.
Excellent answers from all of them, but I actually want to come to Mia's point that was really good, that the office comes more like the chairpersons. Because nowadays, for example, I was the publicist for the culture committee, and for that, for example, we had this round table, for example. At this point, it wasn't that effective, but it's a very good start that with all the positions, because at the end of the day, all subcommittees have the same positions, sort of, for every position. So these round tables could be elaborated more, because I see a very good concept, because that way I got more familiar with the KY office, but I feel the rest who were at the round table with me didn't get probably that close to it. So that should be enhanced more.
Okay. New students. Isabella, how to enhance possibilities for international degree students to be even more involved in KY?
I feel like it's a good start that the event descriptions are now in English, but it doesn't help, or at the end of the day, it doesn't really help anything if the event descriptions are in English, but the events are held in Finnish. It creates this gap between Finnish-speaking and international students right from the beginning. And while it's great that we have KY Sub arranging events for international and exchange students, I feel like to achieve an actually international KY, it would be vital to make more of our events English-speaking.
And adding to that, it was a good point. So, because KY has done a good job with English descriptions in the events, and but I think also what you could do more. KY has given incentives for clubs and associations and committees to actually do the events also in English, but of course some clubs are not doing it at the moment, and I don't see it as definitely a bad thing. But then what I mean is because now around KY is around 20% is international students. If more clubs, committees, and associations would present their events in English, it would increase the total amount of interested people to it, because 20% is a lot when you compare it to KY numbers. And also then you could get international students more active in the actual planning of it. Then you will get more ideas, more diverse ideas. And how I see it, I think also English is also more, this is gonna sound very weird, but like more like giving language. You can like play around with it more, and I actually enjoy that English like events, because then you also kind of like force yourself to try this new language, because you're gonna need it in the future as well.
Laura?
Thank you, Topi. Yeah, all of those were very great viewpoints, and I definitely agree. I would still like to add one point that I think didn't emerge before, and that is about supporting and educating our volunteers related to internationalization questions and how to make, for example, our events and activities more international. I think it's good that the international committee has started its operations, and it would be also good that it would be continued during this year, which, as far as I know, will be the plan. And but I think it's important that everyone's like on the same page, as even if we had those language policies and related, it's not very helpful if our volunteers do not know how to promote internationalization in practice.
Yes.
Thank you. Totally agree with the other answers, but for me, like it starts from the grass level. The person that are most involved with the international students' life are the tutors that they are meeting. And like I think we can more involve the tutors in their life, and they can be more like mentors. And it might be really tough to come to Finland. We are actually pretty strange country, a pretty strange culture, so it might be tough to adapt. So I think tutors they must be more involved, but that would be better for the international tutors also.
I have actually straight comment to that one. With like the exchange tutoring, I think like exchange, well, I'm an exchange tutor now, but I feel that exchange tutors are actually contributing a lot, because at the end of the day, there's so much you can demand from a tutor, because it also comes from the school of business side. So you can't just say like tutors need to be like mentors, because of course they have certain time obligation to be the tutor. Of course, like when the tutoring actually ends, you're just not gonna brush them off or anything, especially in my case. But then I think tutors do now a very good job to it, I think. And then with KY sub, I think with tutoring, of course, always can do more, but it's not just because of it.
One really concrete action, it's only like a quick, but the first thing I would do would be to create a Facebook group for all the international students. So to my understanding, there's only a Facebook group for the exchange students, but I would like to create a group for everyone who is international. And I think by doing that, it could kind of help to build a community around them. And also it would ease the targeting of the international students, because I feel like now they might not have been found in the usual Facebook groups. When some dude is posting events there, they might feel like, oh, is this for me or not? So when they had a group like that, then they would be, okay, this is especially targeted for me. Of course, the optimal case would be that they would always feel that this is targeted for me, but this would be kind of a quick fix for next year, I believe.
There was Maria and then Paul. And a comment at this point, let's keep the answers really tight, otherwise we're gonna be here until the midnight still.
I have all night.
I don't.
Okay, I can start then with very short answer. I totally agree with Paula. I was actually gonna comment about almost the same thing, because I think one of the biggest problem is because of maybe this language barrier that was mentioned, that international students are not sure what are meant for them. Of course, as Paula said, this could be only a quick fix, but Facebook group for international students, or even a calendar tells them what are meant for them, what are open for them, could be a very good idea.
Yeah, I gonna comment on Paula's. I agree on that. International students need communication channels and good communication channels. The extra challenge that part which need to be solved, of course, is that, or make sure still that it doesn't happen that it creates a distance. That if you create an official channel for international students and international official channel for Finnish students, that then it creates a gap between there. But I think that it's still don't get me wrong, it's still a good idea, and I think it's important just to also make sure that create that that people feel the sense of belonging. And I think in KY there's been sometimes official, and then when it creates unofficial channels, then usually it might, even though if there's foreign students, that the conversation turns Finnish, and that's good either, of course.
Okay, moving on to communication and brand. Paula, what is the core function of communications in KY?
The core function for sure is to add transparency. So all the members in KY should know what is done for them, what the board does, for example. Was it related to advocacy or culture, community, or events? So communication is the key, for sure.
Sara-Maria.
That was a very good point from Paula, and I totally agree with that. But I would add another core part, and I think that's also that I feel that KY's communication should be that enables for members that their voice is heard. So I feel that in addition that we are information about maybe board things or office things, I think we should also enable students that they can share their thoughts and words and opinions. What we are actually doing quite well now, for example, in Snapchat.
Okay, you can continue with the mic. What should the brand of KY be, and how can we achieve it?
I think KY brand is actually pretty good at the moment. I see only few things that could be improved. What was mentioned before, I still think we have work to do that KY wouldn't
wouldn't feel so far away. And I think that's one thing also that is crucial in our brand, that we should make the brand more approachable. And of course, there is a lot of communication actions we can do to do that.
Thank you. I totally agree with the points just said. And I had this conversation with the current board member responsible of brand and communications. And he said that it's very important that members and volunteers and other stakeholders have a very clear image of like the brand, and especially like the small characteristics of KY brand, because I think like the brand renewal was made in 2016, and I think ever since the brand image has become even stronger and stronger, but there is still work to do in order that, well, on a grassroots level example could be, for example, that all the volunteers of KY know how to actually use the visual materials, and they have like a clear image, and they also know who to contact. Well, of course, it may be the clearest part, but they know that can at least contact the person responsible of communications and brand whenever they feel that they need more support in this matters.
So, Paula, Topi, Sanni, and remember brief answers.
I kind of agree on Laura's point, so I also think that we should make the KY brand clear, and I also think that we should kind of create guidelines also for external communications. So how do we want the external parties to see our KY brand? So actually write down and the guidelines, because I think that's also really important, besides how the volunteers use the brand.
Yeah, great points. I want to take a new point as well, because in KY strategy is the point that KY is the leading business school in Finland, and KY is the trailblazer in Finnish business. I think KY should take a more active stand to actually show that they will take initiative to bring create connections with other business schools in Finland, and of course, because KY is in this very special situation where we also have a lot of global networks. We do a lot of global cooperation with business schools to show that also in KY and also outside KY. For example, I like to go to these different kind of economic fairs and such, and KY is not usually that present in those. I would like that KY would show more presence in leadership.
And what is really connected to brand is values, and I think KY values are quite vaguely defined at the moment, I would say, and this is something that has to do with the guidelines that Paula mentioned, that should be actually defined more precisely, both external and internal ways.
Okay, let's continue. We need to continue. You have too much to say. But yeah, moving on to the greatest sector of the all. We all know corporate relations. Sanni, approximately how much revenue does corporate relations generate to KY, and how much is this of the whole revenue?
I remember from the budget, I would say $30,000 to $50,000, euros, sorry. But I'm not sure. I didn't really read into that so much. Do you have something to say about it? You don't remember either? Okay. But what I've been reading more about is actually the strategies that want to be delivered in corporate relationships, and what are the actual like guidelines, and what do we want to do in our corporate relations sector.
I think it was something around 100,000, if I'm not wrong, and I think the money from the foundation is also a big part of the finance, but I think it's maybe something like 1/6 of the whole revenue.
Okay, moving quickly.
concept. I wasn't talking about the money that was coming from KYY Foundation, just like what is coming from partners and stock and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, Akseli, what is the main goal of corporate relations at KY?
The main function basically is to get money from companies to KY, and that's the core function. To get money, it's that simple, I think.
The corporate relation, it brings the money and the culture then wastes the money.
That's funny.
Sanni.
Yeah, I think another really important thing for corporate relation is to create bridges between students and the companies that we might be employed in future. I think that is something maybe not so important than Axel told about the money, but in the future it will be a really big that we have connections to companies, and that's the reason why we are so hot in work life, because we have those connections.
Yes, actually, the financing of operations is the main goal, of course. But of course, we give something to the partners as well. We give them visibility in our group, in young academics' minds, and we know about the corporations and we know what they do, and we're very aware of them and what ways they can benefit us in the future as well.
Okay, so I need maybe explain a little bit more. So what I meant, it's like divided into sectors, so work and career, and then corporate relations, and what Jesse talked about, building the bridges between companies and students. That goes to area of work and career, and then the function of corporate relations, which was asked, is basically finance KY, and of course we give the companies back, but it's like what we get from that sector.
Still time to answer. Yeah, so okay, one more point I would like to add. Well, of course, I know that the combinations of responsibilities vary from year to year, but if like the responsibility of alumni is a part of this corporation and work and career combination, then I think that like the kind of maintaining the good alumni relationships and like actively search the new ways to bring alumni more close to KY, and the KY, like current KY members close to alumni should as well be observed from this corporate relations and work and career perspective.
Moving on, Sanni, on what kind of corporate cooperation would you focus on, and what types of products would be in your sales set?
What kind of cooperation? Well, the main ones that we already have, I would concentrate on those ones because they are quite visible here, but not that visible that they could be. Then I would maybe search for new partners. That could be a possibility. I've been searching new partners in my overall project. I've been contacting a lot of companies are very interested in cooperation with KY. And what was the other questions?
What types of products would be in your sales sets?
Okay, so maybe just offering night was pretty good, career nights, case nights, things like that, that the company could be present in our community and that people get to know it better and just offer visibility through the events.
Okay. Moving on, ownership steering. Akseli, KY owns 25% of A-Talent Recruiting. Who are the co-owners?
Co-owners, yes, that's a difficult question, and that's the one area I need most consulting. So I think it goes well along with sectors of corporate relations and work and career, but I'm not too familiar with the A-Talent's co-owners, so I don't have the answer for you.
As an A-Talent alumni, I can give you the insights later on.
Yeah, thanks.
I could give it a try to the answer. So the other owners are Prodeco and Prodeco alumni.
Woo! Can you remember the percentages?
Yeah, well, if KY owns 25, then I think there was another 25 and then 50. But I can't really at this point. Yeah, maybe this is the point I need to admit that I can't remember.
Okay. Close enough. Good answers. Yes, moving forward regarding clubs. Topi, what is the most important thing that KY can provide for clubs and why?
The best, the most...
Short.
Okay. The most important what KY can afford is resources. Spaces, actual material resources, and knowledge for clubs, and with new information how to use these resources.
Which is more important, premises or money?
Premises.
And also it's really important to provide a proper training for the clubs, so how to act at KY and how to prevent from kind of like mistreatments and harassments from happening, for example, and how to react in those situations.
Tommy.
Also add that we need to thank the clubs. They do amazing job.
Remember the mic.
They do amazing. We have to thank the club. They make amazing job with providing events for our members.
How would you thank the clubs?
Well, the easy answer is to have a thank you event, like the honors night and the club singing night. I've been to, but yeah, it's hard to say. Yeah.
Good answer.
Short. Yeah. I feel like I'm the stick now. Okay. To thank the clubs, the events, and also just recognition. If some event goes really well, recognition and awards for concepts, and I feel also a reward would be also to give them tools to actually then contribute in the future, to have the open like rules to actually contribute and share their information as well.
Good answer. Moving on, sustainability. Mia, what concrete goal KY should achieve according to sustainability during the next year?
That's actually a bit of a hard question, I think, because basically the actions towards a more sustainable has already just begun. But I think since I think now the subcommittees are they probably know quite well what the actions are that KY wants to take towards sustainability, but also taking into account the other associations like clubs or subject clubs or other associations that probably are not as familiar with those practices at the moment.
Good answer. I'm going to continue with this. Do you think it's more important that KY itself focuses on sustainability, or like that we do recycling and stuff like that, or would it be more important that KY provides like knowledge about certain professionals for our members regarding sustainability?
I think possibly both. Yeah, I would say both.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's important, like the first part is important to lead by example, so actually focus on making the organization itself as like sustainable and lean as possible, and then after that also provide those extra extra information, extra knowledge, as you've already shown that you are organization. KY is an organization that takes this seriously, and then the extra information and knowledge is also taken more seriously.
Yes, I think we should be more strict about it. So and people should be informed more. We should all have the means to recycle, and it should be made as easy as possible, providing the tools to recycle and the information to recycle, and there should be maybe more strict person watching that it gets done.
Yeah, well, basically that was what I was about to say, to make recycling and other practices related to sustainability as accessible as possible, but also possibly like reporting something regarding sustainability as the process kind of gets on, and then then informing the whole of KY based on those reports.
And then quickly, Fanny and Laura.
I'm going to say about the volunteers that I like which is not going to be our problem for a while now, but it doesn't really have the tools to recycle. It's very hard to recycle in that environment, so maybe giving better tools in the next possible building or residence that we have is something that could be considered. And then also, I would say cooperation with the school, because a lot of courses need like a lot of printing material, or at least I had to print like hundreds of pages of stuff, and that's not really ecological since they're already online, so maybe just discussing about that with the school.
Yes, I have only, well, 1 to 2 more things to add. One that came up to my mind is this sustainability-related policy outline that was mentioned. I think that would be like a good thing to consider, because it would create like common guidelines to follow, as the objectives are clearly expressed like on a paper, so everyone can read them, and everyone have the same information and can form the same understanding of them. Yep, and there was this thing about the board responsibility regarding sustainability. I think it wasn't mentioned before, but that is something that has been considered, and yeah, it should be definitely considered to take the sustainability as one of the responsibilities in the board.
Okay. Moving on, at this point, as we have a lot, the time is running out, I'm going to limit all the additional comments away completely. So only the people who are asked to answer are going to answer, but after that we're going to move on. And please keep the answers really tight, because we need to be out of here in 30 minutes. And we have a lot of questions still. But yes, moving on to well-being. Aino, how would you develop the well-being of KY members?
I think that first the KY office needs to be aware of their own well-being. That's like the key, that if they want to, that everybody in their community feels great and have a like good well-being. I think that's the way. Esimerkillä johtaminen. Sorry. But yes, that's like the main key, because if the KY office doesn't,
ideas from them to all coming from like different schools, so maybe also thinking about ways how to familiarize the students that are already here with the new master's students, and I think master's committee could have a role in this one as well, in addition to orientation week.
Thank you. Next we're gonna move to really quick to yes and no questions. So, really, really simple. I ask a question and then you raise either green one, which is yes, or red one, which is no.
Do we close our eyes?
If you wish to.
Yes.
But actually, it doesn't really matter. I believe that you're grown-ups and you can make your own decision without following others.
I want to show the people.
First question, I like Jallu. Liars. Second question, if the working language in the board would be English, I would still apply for the board. Convincing? KY should leave the student center project. KY's annual budget is big enough. KY has too many events. Subcommittees get too much support compared to other clubs. KY has a great relationship with other business schools in Finland. I would like to have an alumni responsibility as well, if chosen to board. I'm firstly applying for the board green or to some specific sector red.
Would you like to repeat the question?
I'm firstly applying for the board or for some specific sector. So green is for the board and red is for a specific sector. Thank you. So, as the screen is about to end for the screening, we have only a couple more questions which are like really fast. We can try to make them fit, but like in 10 seconds, decide one from this group. Who would you pick with you to the board? Starting from Paula.
Do I just say the name or do you want to? Okay. Sara.
I would take Aino.
I would say yes.
I would say Laura.
Topi.
Yes.
Mia. Paula.
Laura.
Paula.
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 Ooh.
Wrong queen.
And the last question, as a boomerang, back to this way. Why you should be chosen to a board member? One thing.
One thing.
Only one thing.
Because I love KY and everything in it, and I will show it, and I'm able to show it with everything that I do as a board member.
Because whenever I set myself up for a project, I do it 100%, 110%, and this would not be an exception.
I have to copy. I love KY and have a great passion developing it further.
Yeah, passion.
Yeah, same here. Passion, and I want to work at the very core of KY.
That was my answer as well. But on top of that, my attitude.
Cooperation skills.
Fresh ideas.
I will make people around me better.
Love and passion for KY.
I would be a great fit for the role close to the head with my innovative ideas, and I know where I'm applying to.
I'm super motivated.
Thank you. That's that's all from my side. I'm really glad to see that we have such a talented group of people to applying for the board, and luckily I'm not in Heikki's position. Thank you.
Thank you, KY.